When parents receive autism diagnosis, within weeks they're handed a very long list. Speech therapy, occupational therapy, ABA, social groups, music therapy, feeding therapy, floor time. Suddenly your calendar is full. And before you know it, your child is spending more time in therapy than they're playing, exploring, resting, or simply being a child. And the question I don't think we ask often enough, does every autistic child actually needs all of this? Or do we just automatically assume that autism means more therapy is better? And before I do go any further, I do want to acknowledge that autism is a spectrum and the needs vary tremendously from child to child. And some children do have significant needs that require intensive support. However, the children I typically work with are preschoolers. And they're curious, bright, and playful children whose differences from their peers may be noticeable, but not that dramatic. In these cases, I believe it's really important not to overwhelm them with constant pressure to fix them. Working with autistic children every day, I know how hard it could be for families. Many parents are terrified of making a wrong decision. They're often told that the earlier you start intervention, the better. And while early support can absolutely be helpful, many families just feel enormous pressure to fill their every available hour with treatment. The unspoken message becomes you should be doing more. You should be doing more for your child. More therapy, more appointments, more goals, more intervention. But rarely the parents are stopped to ask, how are they really doing with all of this? And how is their child doing? Not in the terms of reaching behavior goals, but in terms of how's he handling all of that therapy. Because believe it or not, too much therapy creates a lot of stress and pressure on the child. I'll give you an example. A child already is receiving, for example, in his preschool class, special education support. And then his OT provider comes and pulls him out for 30 minutes for a therapy session. But if that child is struggling with transitions, this just created an extra problem that he's going to have to deal with every day. Now this child needs to cope with overcoming transition to that 30-minute session and transitioning back to class. But imagine after OT comes the speech therapist, then the physical therapist, also pulling him out of the classroom, out of his routine that he already struggled to settle in. And here we have to stop and ask how much of it is actually benefiting the child and supporting them, or creating more stress and giving them more difficulties to overcome and to cope with that day. Because if autism is viewed primarily as a problem to solve, then therapy sometimes becomes less about supporting the child, but more about making him appear less autistic. Something like drilling eye contact or withholding favorite items so he can repeat a word or do another act that's preferable by provider. And this is where we need to be careful, because autistic children are still children. Just like the rest of the children, they need playtime, family time, joy, and downtime. They need time to focus on their own interest and just opportunity to be themselves. Support should improve child's quality of life, not turn childhood into full-time treatment plan. So before you fill your calendar with appointments, here are a few questions I encourage you to ask yourself. What kind of support would make my child's life and our life as a family easier, more happier, more meaningful? What challenges are affecting communication and participation at the moment? Does this provider view autism in a way that aligns with our values? Is this therapy actually helping my child thrive? Or is it primarily making my child more compliant and trying to make him appear more neurotypical? And perhaps more importantly, does my child still have time to be a child? Do they still have time to play and have autonomy? Because yes, while growth does happen through therapy, Growth also happens during play, family dinners, evening walks, exploring personal interests, and just during ordinary moments of connection. And I would be extremely cautious of approaches that, for example, prioritize compliance over connection, prohibit stimming that helps child regulate, force eye contact or ignore bodily autonomy, treat neurotypical behavior as the major goal. If you have an autistic child, I want you to know that support and acceptance can exist together. Your child may need a lot of support, or they may need it very little. But no matter what their needs are, they deserve a childhood filled with joy, love, connection, and the freedom to be themselves. And the therapy should enhance child's life, not add more pressure to it. The goal is not to fill their every hour with treatments. It's to provide the support the child truly needs while protecting their joy, connection, and their childhood. Your child doesn't need to become less autistic to deserve belongings and acceptance. They deserve support that helps them thrive and the freedom to be exactly who they are. Thank you for watching.